In the dense shadows of the rainforest, where life hustles with both breathtaking beauty and brutal survival, lies a jaguar whose fate is far crueler than any silent prowl through underbrush. Picture this magnificent predator, muscular, sleek, crowned by rosettes that glisten like miniature ink blots on a gold-stained cloak, marred horrifically by a festering wound that seems less like a mark of the wild and more akin to a grotesque tragedy. The gash is a nest, seething and swollen, oozing with thick yellow-green pus, surrounded by raw, angry flesh that pulses with a relentless invasion of parasites. As we peer closer, what first appeared as mere damage becomes a theater of biological horror, where tiny creatures feast and multiply, a grim testament to a silent war waged beneath the jaguar's fur. Parasites are nature's uninvited guests. Microscopic to millimeter in size, they burrow, latch, suck, and wreak havoc on their hosts with ruthless efficiency. On this jaguar, the wound is a gateway for some of the most loathsome freeloaders: botfly larvae, ticks, and blood-sucking mites. Botflies, notorious for their method of laying eggs under the host skin, have dropped larvae into the jaguar's flesh. These maggots burrow deeper for safety, feeding off tissue and turning the wound into an inflamed, throbbing cavern filled with writhing, pale bodies. Ticks cling to the edges, engorging themselves on the jaguar's blood, swelling grotesquely as they suck it like tiny, voracious vampires. Mites invade the very outer layers of skin, causing it to thicken, crack, and peel, turning the once glossy coat into a patchwork of scabs and sores. Together, these parasites orchestrate a macabre infestation, entwining in a complex ecosystem that feasts on the jaguar's vitality, draining its strength as it fights a losing battle against these insidious invaders. This parasitic siege does more than just harm the jaguar's flesh, it endangers its future. The jaguar's immune system, tirelessly deployed like an internal army, becomes increasingly compromised as resources drain away. The open wounds invite secondary infections. In the shadowed underbrush of a forgotten forest, there lies a tale far darker than the deepest midnight. Here, we find a dog, once perhaps full of life, now a grotesque canvas for nature's cruel brush. Its body is marred by a horrific wound, a festering theater of pain where serpents have made their home. The injury is not just a simple bite. It is an infestation, a sinister invasion of scales and fangs riding the thin line between life and death. This is no ordinary injury. It is a nightmare stitched in flesh, a grisly phenomenon where the natural world's ruthlessness is displayed with clinical, cold precision. The wound tells a story of violation, where the snake, a creature emblematic of both fear and fascination in human lore, becomes the involuntary predator nestled beneath the dog's failing skin. The infestation begins small, just one or two serpents slipping through the torn epidermis like secret agents of decay. But soon, they multiply, writhing in their slimy converse beneath the surface, feeding off the host's blood and tissue. The dog's flesh swells, slick with pus and darkened by necrosis, the skin transparent enough to glimpse these pale intruders coiling and unknotting. A ghastly ballet of parasitism. The stench is putrid, a revolting mixture of damp earth, decay, and the acrid tang of infection. You can almost hear the faint hissing of the snakes, a sinister sibilance punctuating the stillness. Scientifically, this is a rare but devastating interaction, an extreme form of parasitism, or perhaps something. In the bone-chilling heights of the Himalayas, an extraordinary and haunting tale unfolds, one of survival, suffering, and the raw brutality of nature. Meet the snow leopard, a magnificent creature known for its grace and cunning in the harshest of environments. Yet, beneath its silvery fur lies a grotesque secret, as it grapples with a horrific wound inflicted by an insidious parasitic flower, known as the corpse flower. This vile botanical predator simultaneously captivates and horrifies as it burrows insidiously into the flesh of its unfortunate host. Its colorful petals stand in stark contrast to the misery it brings, resembling a ghastly bloom of death from a fairy tale gone wrong. The snow leopard, once a symbol of beauty, now carries a gruesome reminder of nature's dark side, struggling against an invasion that gnaws at its very essence. But the plight of our striking feline does not end there. To compound its suffering, the snow leopard becomes a host. In the shadowed corners of a dense jungle, where sunlight barely dares to penetrate the thick canopy, there exists a scene of grotesque natural horror that defies casual observation. A lone monkey, once vibrant and agile, now hunched and forsaken, bears upon its back a macabre tapestry of decay, and life interwoven in the most unsettling fashion. Its fur clings matted and damp to a wound that is nothing short of a parasite hive, a living nightmare of pulsating eggs, writhing larvae, and festering flesh. This gory wound is not just a site of injury, but a breeding ground for a legion of invasive creatures, each thriving within the warm, soft tissue of their unwilling host. The sight could make even the most seasoned biologist's stomach churn, flesh rupturing beneath the skin, small holes leaking pus, and crawling insects, as if the monkey's very skin has become a banquet hall for these parasitic invaders. Parasite infestation in this context is a brutal, insidious form of survival. Worms, mites, and fly larvae embed them. Imagine stumbling upon an enormous creature, a giant among beasts, yet crippled by a grotesque nightmare etched into its flesh. This elephant, once proud and imperious, now bears a wound so horrific that it appears as if a legion of venomous serpents has taken up residence beneath its thick skin. The raw, festering injury throbs with oozing pus and dark, battered flesh, a macabre tapestry of decay and life intertwined. This is no ordinary injury. This is a case of snake infestation, a horror story where nature's predators have turned a majestic herbivore into a gruesome host, a living canvas for parasitic torment. Beneath the elephant's cracked, dusty hide, numerous slender, sinuous snakes weave their way into the wound's cavernous depths, seeking shelter and sustenance. The infestation is a morbid symphony of scales and mucus, fangs, and venom, an unholy alliance of reptilian invaders. These snakes, often smaller species adapted to moist, protected environments, exploit the elephant's injury as a fertile breeding ground. The warmth and moisture of the damaged tissue provide an optimal habitat, while the elephant's inability to reach deep within the wound allows the snakes to snuggle into a nightmarish lair. As these serpents burrow and slither, they shred the elephant's tissue, exacerbating the injury and spreading infection like a dark tide. This grim relationship presents an unsettling glimpse into the brutal realities in the moonless depths of a forgotten meadow. A ghostly white horse stands, a silent sentinel, marred grotesquely by a swelling, pulsating hive, a living, breathing, nightmarish colony of bees fused into its flesh. This is no ordinary wound. It is a festering monument to an unlikely and revolting symbiosis where nature's tiny architects of honey and stingers have built their fortress on a living, galloping canvas of bone and sinew. The beast, once a creature of pure, shimmering elegance, now trudges under the weight of this buzzing infestation, every thrum and pulse beneath the surface, a maddening reminder of life and decay twined in grotesque union. The stench of sweat, rot, and sweet honey infiltrates the air, assaulting senses with an unbearable mix of fascination and disgust. The hive's honeycomb, seeping with blood, wax, and viscous nectar, glistens unnervingly against the horse's alabaster coat, a sickening testament to the hive's aggressive colonization. Bees, typically gentle pollinators working in harmony with their environment, have in this case taken an unnatural course, driven perhaps by